Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to be installing the roof rack on a 2015 Honda CRV. I already have that bar installed here, and this kit doesn't come with any instructions at all, so I went through and did this one just kind of how I figured it should go on, and it seems pretty good and looks pretty good. So I was going to work on the van today, but the weather had different ideas, so we're going to do this instead. So anyway, this is everything that comes with the kit. You get the two long rails that go on the car, and then you get the two cross bars. You have to kind of assemble them yourself. Comes with all the hardware. Comes with Allen wrenches, but the Allen wrenches, you can use them if you want, but if you have the ones that go on the ratchet, it's better. You got a 4 and a 5, I believe, are the two sizes. So I think the 4s are for the smaller ones that are going to be for this, and then the 5s are going to be for the larger studs that go into the top of the roof. And then you're going to need a prying tool, so I was using just a really thin screwdriver here so you can get in there. And then you might need a 3/8 drill bit. I did on that one because the holes are not drilled super great. And then you'll need a hacksaw and a measuring tape, and if you have them, tin snips work pretty good. So anyway, first step, you're gonna go to the back of the car, and then see this little piece right here, got this seam. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pop this out of the groove in the channel here, and a lot of this stuff, when I was doing it on the other side, liked to be pried from the inside of the car out. And then just make sure this whole thing you're not like scratching paint or causing any damage. So you just get it under there and it'll pop. And then once you get it to pop, I was able to go through with my hands. You don't want to break this part, so because you're going to reuse that. But you're just going to go through, and I'll show you on the other side here. So all these clips they just go into the studs that are in the car. So I'll show you. So you're just gonna go through, pry it from inside out, just like that. And don't worry if you break these clips, because you're not gonna reuse those anyway. And just keep going, and you'll feel it get tight, so that means there's a clip. So you just kind of wiggle it and pry it. Some of them are tighter than others. Alright, so that final thing kind of pulled it all the way up here for me. Alright, and then the scariest part of the whole thing basically is you have to cut this bar high enough so that it's hidden inside the new bar. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So you don't want to cut it too short, because then you'll have a gap here. You don't want that. And it also can't go too far because there's stuff in here that makes it not go. So just from trial and error, I figured I cut 1 inch from the window, 1 inch from the window up to here, and that seemed to work good. So I'll show you. We'll just do it on this side real quick and grab my measuring tape. Measuring tape and something to mark it with. And like I said, 1 inch worked for me. So all I did was I took my measuring tape, stuck it in the channel here, and kind of pressed it. And then, so it's going to be 1 inch from, you want it in the channel of the window, parallel with the bar. And that seemed to work for me. So we'll mark it right there. And it doesn't have to be perfect because the line's going to be hidden underneath. So you can mark it with blue tape, Sharpie, whatever you got. I have this pen laying here, so do that. And then, so you can see, there you go, 1 inch. And then, so the thing is, if you cut it too short, you can't put anything back. but if you cut it a little longer, you can cut it again if you want to. So that's what I do. And then you want to put something underneath the car so you don't scratch the paint or nick anything. So I just shove a rag under it. Okay, just like that. You can shove whatever you want under the cardboard, whatever you got. And then, so you got your hacksaw and you got your tin snips. The hacksaw worked just to give me a nice score line. And then once I got the score line set, I was able to go in with tin snips and finish up. So let's see. See if we can do it without getting the rag and videotape all at the same time. Alright, I'll just be really, really careful. So here, yeah. And this is metal underneath, so you're not gonna like blow through it instantly. So you can see, got some metal in there. And cool, so that's pretty much through there. So then what I do, so now that I have a nice score line, just kind of bend it up. And you don't want to ruin this section because that's still on your window trim. And then once you get your score line, you just kind of go through. Snip it. And there we go. So now we got this trim off. So you want to save this piece, which is kind of a pain to get off of there. You can kind of see that this is all one piece that goes, and it actually retains that little plastic clip there. So let's see if I can do it with one hand. If not, I'll just pause the video real quick and get it. But all you're doing is you're pulling this and wiggling it, and there's like, I couldn't really see any tabs in there to really press to help me out. So the only thing I can see is maybe there's a tab right there if we push that way and pull maybe. Alright, I'm gonna break the video real quick and pull that off. Alright, so I got that off. There wasn't a tab, I just pulled it pretty hard and it came right out. So, but anyway, we're gonna retain this, and this just snaps back in here. If you have a rag, now's the time to kind of clean all that gunk out of there. Had this car for since 2015, so it's a little old. It's got all this junk in here. It's aluminum, so it shouldn't rust or corrode, or it'll corrode, but it won't rust, but it still gets pretty nasty. So just go through and get all the gunk out. Not that anyone's gonna see it under here. And then all the rest of these clips that didn't come out with the bar, you just need to pry them up. So these are just pressed onto these bolts, just onto the threads here. There we go. And you can leave these white ones in here. I left mine just because I feel like it'll give it a little more better spacing, you know, because the bar doesn't actually go into the grooves down here. The bar only attaches to the metal studs here. So then just make sure you clip your trim back into your window here. There's more of these clips on this window trim. Okay, so should be good. And don't really worry too much about how good or bad that looks. You can file that down or sand it or whatever you want to do if you really were that concerned about it, but it's going to be hidden underneath the trim. Hopefully. My measurements are right from side to side. Alright. Cool. And then I had one plastic clip come out over here. So the way that these go on, you have these little short studs here, and then you have a small side and big side. So the big side goes on, and they slide forward, and that's it. But then to get the clip out, again, you want to pry it. Try to pry it. Got it. Cool. And then, so for this guy, you're just gonna replace it. So one of the studs, this back stud right here, goes on there, and then the long tab goes in this groove back here, and then this little plastic piece pinches on top of this. So it just goes like that. So that's just like a vanity piece, so just leave that there. There you go, clear those off. Okay, so now that that's off, the next step is pop your caps here, and then we'll check these bolt holes. The bolt holes on the other side were not drilled large enough, so I had to go through and hit each one of them with the drill just to clean them out a little bit. But anyway, if you look close, you got these little hole for a screwdriver. So you're just gonna stick this in here. Be nice with this because it's just plastic. I think these side ones were a little more tricky, but same thing. You always want to pry from the inside of the car, outside, center line to outside. That's how all the clips work on these. These bolt holes look better than the other one. The other one that I put on were, see how these are nice and clean. The other ones had a bunch of plastic and junk still attached to them. I'm not sure what this tab does. Maybe it's supposed to help you pull this up, but both of them just ripped out. So, but anyway, these bolt holes don't look terrible. Yeah, this one looks much better. I might not have to drill this one. And that one's gonna be a little tight. And those ones are okay. So we'll see. Show you what I'm talking about. Alright, sorry about that. So what you're checking for the bolt holes to make sure that they're drilled correctly is you want them to be able to slip in and just drop in, just like that. So a lot of them on that bar, I had to drill every single one of them out because they were drilled too close to the edge and they wouldn't go over, or they wouldn't go in over that lip. So just go through and put your bolt holes in. If any of them snag like that, like see how that one's not going all the way down. So we'll drill the bottom out a little bit because it's just, the plastic's not cast very good, or I don't know, like cast plastic, I don't know, extruded or whatever. Alright, and then see this one too. Yeah, see? So this bolt doesn't go all the way through, and that's just because the hole down there has a bunch of junk in it. So it's easy. You just flip the bar over, dump out all your bolts you just put in, and just run a drill through it until the bolts drop through pretty easily. I won't record that. It's pretty self-explanatory, but you'll see. Okay, show you what I'm talking about. So you just flip it over and kind of get that hole big enough so that these will go pass through. It works now. And the size for that's a 3/8 drill bit. So, all right. So now that that's on there, we can go ahead and flip it over and put all of our bolts in there with the washers. On this one in the middle, I had to put it on without a washer for some reason. I think the plastic's just a little thicker there. I could file it down and worry about it, or maybe I'll find a different size thickness washer because these ones are pretty thick, so I can get a little thicker or a thinner washer for that side, but not too worried about it. You're not really torquing these to anything crazy. All right, so now that one fits in there. Where did all those bolts go? Washer. It's gone forever. How many am I missing? 1, 2, 1, 2. Missing just one. You seen it, dog? Useless. It's probably under here somewhere. Dang. Oh, there it is. So that one doesn't really. Oh yeah, it does. Okay. This one might need a little more taken off of it. Yeah, because it doesn't really fit very flush. Yeah, it's okay. We'll try it. Let's see. So just put it on. Oh, actually, one last step before you put it on. Take your little plugs out for the crossbars. Otherwise, that'll be fun to get out on top of the car. Sheesh. Could probably keep these just in case you ever run it without the crossbars. I don't know what the wind noise is going to be like on this thing. There we go. And let's see. See if my cut was right. I didn't actually measure on this side, I just did it, so. Alright, and then, so you got this stud here that this bolt will go in, so you just line that up, and you just kind of go through and pop them on. Ooh, perfect. Cool. That worked out. Alright, so 1 inch. 1 inch works. They were kind of a pain to get them to all start on that side too. So, but what you do is just start with the middle. That's what worked the best on the other side. So, start with the center and then work your way out. And you kind of have to push down while you tighten, just because you got to compress the rubber a little bit. No. And maybe. Yeah, that one felt like a bit. Cool. That one's going. And that one's going. Cool. So those were the two that I had to do without a washer on the other side. We'll just get them all started by hand. That way if you have to take it off to readjust something, you can. Oops. Oh man, it's chaos. So you can see, I'm sure the Honda one fits better than this, but this one's cheap enough that I'm willing to deal with just a little. Sorry about the camera there. All right. Dealing with a little fitment issue. All right, started. And that gap's gonna be good. And you just want to, at this time, just kind of go through and make sure your gasket's not pinched or bound up anywhere. So you can see that's why you retain this piece. And the gasket on the inside, just feel it with your fingers. Should be good. Cool. And then, so next you're just going to go through and snug these down. I don't know what the spec is on it, on the torque spec, but it's just a piece of plastic. So, but then again, it's also going to be holding stuff on top of your car. So I'm gonna go until it gets tight enough that I feel comfortable with it. And so you just start in the middle and kind of work your way out. That way make it nice and flat. Okay, and then once you've gotten them all pretty snug, just go back through one more time, same pattern, inside to outside. Just make sure everything's tight. So yeah, eventually they stop turning, so don't go past that. Yeah, so I guess they kind of bottom out on the shoulder for the bolts. And you can move the whole car with it, so. Cool. And that's it, that's the main rails installed. These ones kind of seem like they're going to be pretty self-explanatory, actually. Yeah, you got bolts in there, bolt holes in here. These are labeled though, left and right. So you got an L on this side and an R on this side. So left and right. I'm assuming the longer one goes in the front. Yeah, the longer one goes in the front, shorter one goes in the back. And then, yeah, should be it. All right, I'll go through and put those on there, but if there's any issues, I'll let you know. All right, they're on. So there's a couple tricks with these. The holes aren't aligned, aren't in a straight line all the way across, so only the left side, or I'm sorry, only the right side will fit on the right side of this bar. So if you're struggling to get the bolts to go into the threads there, then just try it on the other side. It'll probably work for you. And then the other thing is there's probably about an inch or so of adjustment on the right side. So what you do is you just start the screws into the bars here, just start them there, and then put it on the car and get these bolts, both of these bolts on both sides, that one. And then once you get these bolts in and this bar is tight on here, then you can go ahead and tighten these down. And that way it's adjusted exactly how it needs to be to your car. These bolts are a pain, just so you guys know. So you probably won't be taking these off very often. So you could just throw those caps away. If you have like any sort of long skinny punch or something, I don't know if I'd use a screwdriver because you don't want to mess up the threads too bad. But if you have something like this, that'll help get the holes lined up for you. But anyway, looks pretty good and it's pretty solid. I don't know what the weight capacity is, but these feel better than ones I've had before, so that seems good. And I hope the wind noise isn't too bad. I don't think it will be because everything's nice and rounded, and so it should be good. There's only one cap that broke on mine, which is this one over here. So you can see how his bolt isn't centered in the hole there. So that's the cheap quality that I was talking about. But anyway, I'll just take this cap and put some like double-sided sticky tape on there or something so that I can just pop it down there and it'll stick to that. But that'll blow off in the wind for sure. So, but yeah, it's installed. I'll leave the link to this thing in the description. It's on Amazon. I don't remember what the price was on it, but I know it was much cheaper than the Honda one. So I like that. So, all right, thanks for watching.